For Keith Haring, graffiti was simply a form of vandalism where the only objective was to complete the work before getting caught by the police. For example, many soldiers during World War II would paint "Kilroy was here" on walls to let people know that soldiers were in the area. The Kilroy saying brought back the idea of graffiti to the United States, and since then, graffiti has continued to grow.
Keith Haring was born on May 4, 1958. He went to art school first in Pennsylvania and then in New York City, where he began displaying his art. Keith Haring first gained public attention with his chalk drawings in the New York City subways. His pieces were documented, and soon his piece "Radiant Baby" became his symbol. His artwork was characterized by vivid colors, bold lines, and active figures. His figures all had strong messages of life, unity, and peace. Throughout his career, Haring devoted much of his time to public works, which often carried social messages. He produced more than 50 public works between 1982 and 1989 in dozens of cities around the world, many of which were created for charities, hospitals, children's daycare centers, and orphanages.
Black. So if you want me off your back, well, come on and let me know. Should I stay or should I go? Should I stay or should I go now? Should I stay or should I go now?
Keith Haring is most famous for his mural "Crack is Whack" in a handball court in New York City. It is one of the most prominent murals in the city that is still around today. Once Keith Haring gained popularity in the art world, he went all over the world to show his art. He painted in Australia, Paris, Amsterdam, Italy, Belgium, and even on the Berlin Wall. His art in all of these places all convey the same thing: peace, love, and unity. In his brief career, he had more than 100 solo and group exhibitions and more than 50 public works around the world.
Becoming popular in street art, Haring began to work with different media, including murals, sculptures, advertisements, watches, shirts, cars, houses, shoes, statues, and even people. He designed Madonna's jacket for her music video of "Like a Virgin." He also painted Grace Jones's body for the music video "I'm Not Perfect." As Haring became more creative in his life, he painted a BMW car, created a baby's crib, and designed his own Adidas shoes, and also painted drums.
In April of 1986, Keith Haring opened the Pop Shop in Soho, New York, in which he sold shirts, toys, posters, and other items that were designed with his works. Since he saw the shop as an extension of his work, he painted the interior of the store in an abstract black and white pattern, which made this store one of the most unique locations in New York City. The Pop Shop allowed people greater access to Haring's work, as well as providing people with unique pieces of art in the form of everyday objects. The shop was criticized when it first opened, but Haring continued to sell his artwork and received much support from his fans and mentors, including Andy Warhol.
Keith Haring was influenced by pop artists, but was one of the first artists to stray away from the norms of pop art. Instead of using pre-existing objects as his subjects, he used color and design similar to pop art, but used original subjects.
Haring was diagnosed with AIDS in 1988. In 1989, he established the Keith Haring Foundation, whose goal is to provide funding for AIDS organizations and children's programs and to expand the audience for Haring's works through exhibitions and publications. Much of his artwork after 1988 was geared towards helping with AIDS campaigns by raising public awareness. Keith Haring died of AIDS-related complications at the age of 31 on February 16, 1990. His work can still be seen today in the exhibitions and collections of major museums around the world, as well as the public's works in New York and Berlin.
I was unrecognizable to myself.
He was one of the most influential visual artists of the late 20th century. His bold, cartoon-like drawings are indelible icons of American art and pop culture. After he was diagnosed with AIDS in 1988, Haring used his imagery to promote AIDS activism and awareness.
I was sort of in New York at exactly the right time and exactly the right place.
He was born face up instead of face down, which the doctor called sunny side up. I guess I should have known right then that something was going to be up, huh?
I eventually stopped drawing in the subway in 1985, partly because by that time my opportunities to do things all over the world had increased and my time I was spending in New York was diminishing. And also people were getting very clever about removing the drawings from the subway. Art, 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 art. This is art. This is art.
When Keith Haring died, more than 1,000 people attended his memorial service. His artwork still remains all over the world for future generations to view and admire. He impacted the lives of so many people that nearly 20 years after his death, an homage was created in New York City to honor his life. When he found out he had AIDS in 1988, he created the Keith Haring Foundation, which raised money for children and adults living with AIDS. This foundation is still running today. Keith Haring revolutionized graffiti by sending messages through his art to the millions of people who had seen his pieces. He transformed graffiti and street art, eventually selling his work. Today, graffiti can be found in most major cities, but rather than being seen as a form of vandalism, graffiti is now seen as an art form because of Keith Haring. He influenced graffiti artists after him to paint meaningful images, which have led to graffiti being seen as a more socially acceptable and meaningful form of art.
Consider this slip that brought me